ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे फुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्ससुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचानूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं हरि ओम्. Hari Om and good morning, everybody. We are in the section on Devi Sampat in chapter 16 of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita chapter 16 focuses on the wealth of values and the wealth of vices. And they're both wealth because they get things for us in this world. What they get is the thing to be considered, but they're wealths because they get us things. That's one way to look at it. We're now in the section, we're almost done with the 26 values that Bhagavan lists as Devi Sampat. So let us finish what we were seeing and then we will continue. At the end of last class, the discussion was what makes it hard to forgive somebody close who has hurt us and what makes it easier. And the second question was, what was the second question? Oh, the second question was on forgiveness. No, this was forgiveness. The second question was on Dhriti. So let us, I think someone had requested for me to share reflections on those answers. I know you all would have discussed wonderful things. These are just some additional things to think about. The first thing is what makes it hard when someone hurts us is expectation is what makes it really hard because those who are closest to us, we have the highest expectations from them. The problem is they're not close enough for us to feel a oneness. We don't feel so identified that we extend the same treatment of ourselves to them. So they're close, but not so close that we treat them like we treat ourselves. So one of the things that makes it easier is to increase our identification, to see a oneness between us. Because you think how many mistakes you have made in your lifetimes and how many times you have forgiven yourself. Like tongue and the teeth example we were talking about last week. That is just, that's a small example, but you think about how many mistakes we make on a daily basis. And when you make the mistake, your mind is like, oh, okay, just don't do it again. Your mind tells yourself something and very quickly forgives you in the same way, like it never happens. And it could be a big mistake also, but the mind is ready to forgive because you are you. In the same way, if you feel such a closeness with someone, that forgiveness becomes spontaneous. The other thing is, well, that is easier said than done. But the other thing is, when someone makes a mistake, it is not about you. Really speaking, it is about them. They have some limitation of their own that caused or triggered this kind of mistake to happen. So, shifting the attention from what they did to me to realizing that some limitation is there in their mind. I mean, why will someone who loves you want to do something to hurt you? It is because of ignorance of some kind on their part. And that is a sad thing for them. The other thing is, forgiving them is not about releasing them. Forgiveness is a quality in my mind. It is for my mental peace. And mental peace is the most valuable thing for me. It is more valuable than my relationship with them, actually. The most important thing in my life is my mental peace. It doesn't mean I don't take the requisite action, and it doesn't mean that inner hurt should not be there, and all of that inner hurt will not be there. But the whole effort is to try to remove the inner hurt so that my mind can go back to being peaceful. It's like you hurt your hand and you don't go to physiotherapy to fix it. Then, and honestly, when you have hurt some part of your body, like even if you walk clumsily into a bedpost and you hit your knee or your thigh or your leg or something, and you develop a bruise, someone who will touch that ordinarily, it wouldn't hurt. Okay, you touch this, normal. Someone will poke you also, it wouldn't hurt. But if there's a pre-existing bruise, a slight touch will trigger immense pain. In the same way, when we don't let go of the hurt that has been caused by somebody, they don't need to do something hard to us again. Any slight thing will trigger that pain again. Now, who's the loser in that whole thing? It is me. Because what I'm focusing on here is my peace, my capacity to be balanced, my capacity to be present. So you think about it from your point of view and what you will be getting by forgiving, not what they will be like, what they don't deserve to be forgiven. Do you deserve to be peaceful? That is the question, really, when it comes to forgiveness. Do you deserve to be peaceful? Then the other thing is karma. This thing can only happen to me because it was supposed to come to me. Means I would have done something like this to somebody in the past, because of which my karma is coming back to me. So when something like this happens, the thought in the mind should be, I can't believe I did this to somebody. I don't want to do this again. So you remove the capacity to cause this kind of pain to someone else when it happens to you. The other thing is to find yourself in good company, because there are some people who are around us who like to, the word is to chook fire. They like to instigate. They like to instigate and cause more problems. So you may have someone who has hurt you, and you're talking to somebody close about it, and that person's like, I can't believe they did that, and they instigate more, and they make you feel more pain because of how someone could have done something like that to you. That is not a healthy thing, actually. So you find yourself in the kind of company that inspires you to come out of it, not that allows you to dwell on it more, especially in that time. The other thing is you just have to make yourself mentally strong. That is called titiksha. Because things are going to come whether we like it or not, right? And finally, even if we cannot identify with them, remember that I have done so many wrong things to so many other people. And just like I want to be forgiven, I should extend the treatment of myself to other people. So I'm not forgiving them like I forgive myself, but I'm forgiving them the way I want other people to forgive me for my inevitable mistakes. Therein, I'll take all questions at the end. Okay, just write it down. Okay. Now the other question was, why do we compromise on dhriti? I can't remember how it was phrased. I think it was along those lines. why we compromise on, we don't have dhriti, why we are not able to hold on to and pursue and finish pursuing our goals, why we cave in the face of challenging situations. When we talk about this topic with the kids, we do a little activity with them. And we ask them, you know, if I asked you to pick your nose and eat it right now, it sounds gross. Just bear with me. Would you do it? And they're all like, ew, no, who would do something like that? That is gross. I can't believe you're asking me. I mean, depending on their age, right? Then you tell them, what if I gave you $5? You have to convert that into Guyana dollars here also. $5 in Guyana, $5 US in Guyana is 1,000 Guyana dollars. So, what if I gave you $1,000 Guyana dollars or 5 US? Then, I mean, some teenagers actually are like, well, I'll take it. I'll do it. Really, some teenagers say that, right? But most people will be like, I wouldn't do that for $5. What? No, you know? Long story short, by the time you reach like $10,000, everybody has eaten it. Everyone who said, ew, I will never do such a thing, has agreed to do it. Why? Because their value for money is so high that it trumps their value for that not having that other thing in your body. It means we can be bought with money because we're convinced of the value of money. We're not convinced of the value of honesty and goodness and the pursuit of what we're pursuing, right? So the test for us is whether we can compromise under temptation. But how to develop it is the question. And the thing is, there was this lady called Florence Chadwick, and she had to swim the English Channel. And she gave up because she couldn't do it anymore. And then when she gave up, she realized that the end was so close. If she had just gone for a couple more minutes, she would have reached. But because she couldn't see it, she didn't have the mental capacity to keep going on. So knowing that our goal is in sight allows us to find a little bit more perseverance to keep going that extra mile. Okay, it's only this much more, like when the kids in the back seat say, are we there yet, are we there yet? And you may have left 5 minutes ago and they're asking, are we there yet? And they can't handle it. But when they know there's actually just 15 minutes remaining, it flies by because now everyone can see the goal. So in the same way, we know our goal is mukti or permanent happiness. And we know that this thing that I'm going to stick to is going to get me to that goal. That will help me to hold on even when I want to give up. And the thing is, we have to make ourselves so strong that we have to make our vision, the value of goodness has to be so strong in us that even if the whole world is offered to us, we don't get shaken from that path of goodness. This was the qualification Nachiketas needed in Kathopanishad before Yamaraj was even willing to entertain the idea of giving him this knowledge. Because it is not easy. Um, the other thing, uh, okay, here's a reality check. We should not get discouraged by challenges because one, they're the stepping stone to our evolution, and two, honestly, guaranteed that they will come. It is guaranteed that life is going to be an uphill battle. It's going to feel like everything is turned against us. For example, is it easier to be healthy or unhealthy? Leave spirituality. Is it easier to be healthy or unhealthy? Which is better for you? But which one is easier? Right? Then, is it easier to make money or to not make money? Ah, is it easier to get knowledge or ignorance? So everything that we're pursuing is an uphill battle. Health, money, knowledge, everything is an uphill battle. Is it easier to get sick, or is it easier to remove your sickness? Honestly, in life, struggles are going to come. But we find a way to remove those struggles in other departments. It will be the exact same here. Dhriti is when we fall down, we have the ability to get up and to continue no matter what the obstacles are. And we continue with enthusiasm because we know this thing is taking me to what I want the most. That is how we find Dhriti. Okay, now let us continue. The next quality is Shaucham. Shaucham means cleanliness, and cleanliness is of two types. There is outer purity or cleanliness, and there's inner purity and cleanliness. Outer cleanliness. The question you have to ask yourself, is your home or your workspace, or in modern times, your desktop, you know, or your phone pictures as clean as you would like it to be? is your is your space as tidy and clean as you would like it to be? In the ashram, we're supposed to shower in the morning and in the evening. Means in spiritual life, you're supposed to shower in the morning and the evening when you are going to do your sadhana. The quality that prevents us from being clean, going and taking that shower, is laziness. It's an inner impurity that leads to an outer impurity. And the problem is when you compromise for one day, you're like, I showered really late last night. So if I don't, and I didn't do anything after that. And then we were in an AC for satsang, so not don't feeling so dirty. So you make a calculation in your mind, and you're like, okay, fine. Today morning, the water's gonna be cold. I'm not gonna shower. Well, one time you let your mind say, I'm not going to shower, and your mind learns, oh, I can get away with this sometimes. Then it goes from being the exception to being the norm very quickly. So the only way to develop cleanliness and keep it in an outward from an outward position is not having laziness. Then, oh, of course, and valuing the quality. You hear teenagers saying, no, 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 this is an organized mess. Don't touch my things. I won't be able to find it if they're neat. You have to value cleanliness and neatness and orderliness and all of that. Anyways, then there's inner cleanliness, which is inner purity of mind, inner purity of motive. Sometimes we think that our motives are pure, you know, but they may not be so pure because our thinking is clouded by selfishness, and that selfishness makes us even think that what we're doing is noble. But part of developing Shocham is realizing that I don't know myself completely, right? I may be oblivious to my impurities. And I think the best way to see it is, when somebody comes to your house, they see dirt that you never saw. Or it's like only when they're there, you're like, oh my God, I didn't see how dirty this counter is. Then you're like, I wish they don't see it. You cleaned and you prepared for them, but something got missed and you only see it when they come. And you're like, man, and the next time you remember, you have to clean that part too. But it is like that with our mind also. Guruji explains that there are four parts to our mind. One part is known to me and to others. The second part is known to me and not to others. The third part of my mind is known to others and is not known to me. And the fourth part of my mind is not known to me or others. So there's an unmanifest part of my mind that propels my thoughts and my actions in a certain direction. Shocham is there, Guruji says, when our entire mind is flooded with the light of knowledge. Means we become aware of all four. So, how to develop? Well, we concentrate on the part that is known to us. Then we concentrate on what is known to us and to others. So you check, what thoughts and all are there. Then we become open to what others see that we don't. And that requires becoming open to criticism, right? Because in this process, integrity is the most important thing. Because if they said something that is true, whether I like it or not, I have to be grateful that they're showing me a part of my mind that I was oblivious to. And then he says, if these three are illumined, then the fourth will automatically get illumined. So the greatest impurity, which is ignorance of my own self, it will go away with the light of knowledge of who I am. Right? Okay. So these are some things to think about for purity and cleanliness. Really speaking, how to be clean from an outer perspective, just don't be lazy and you will be clean. Your clothes will be clean, your body will be clean, your environment will be clean. Everything boils down to not being lazy and having a value for cleanliness. Okay. The next one is adroho. Adroho is translated as adroho is means it's adroha. In Sanskrit Sandhi, it becomes adroho. It's adroha. It means non-hostility, non-betraying, not being a traitor. It is the absence of any desire to destroy another person. And you'll hear phrases like Desha Drohi, a traitor to their country, Mitra Drohi, a traitor to their friend, Guru Drohi, that is the worst, traitor to your guru, because a person who is a Guru Drohi turns on his own source of life and existence. The worst thing you can do is to be a Guru Drohi. Anyways, we have all betrayed and we have all been betrayed. So we know the feeling of both sides. The question is, does unintentional betrayal hurt less? Now, when you think from your point of view, other people betrayed me. You say no. No, no, no. It doesn't hurt less. But here we're talking about you. If you betray somebody else unintentionally, should it hurt them less? Your answer is, well, of course. I mean, I didn't do it intentionally. So we have double standards in our answers. But the point is, it is interesting to think, is it acceptable justification? Right? I mean, you're supposed to not have it, and then if it comes, you're supposed to be able to get over it. So you think about how you want to handle that. But how we get over betrayal is, from our point of view, forgiveness, which we talked about. But how to ensure that we don't betray? That is the quality that is being focused on here. One is it requires awareness, tremendous awareness to make sure we don't do something like that. Two, integrity, an intense amount of integrity. The other thing is selflessness, because usually the thing that triggers the betrayal is some selfish desire, right? And then the other thing is realizing, I think, the other thing is realizing that greatness is not a limited resource. Meaning, hey, it's not like if someone else is great, it limits my greatness. If someone else has things, it limits my capacities, right? We have this because we grew up in the way we grow up in the capitalist society, it makes us think that things are limited resources. But greatness is not a limited resource. So there's no need to betray for me to feel great or become great. Another question that might come is, well, in Ramayana, Vibhishana betrayed Ravana. He was his brother, and he left him, and he went to Bhagavan Sri Rama, who's Ravana's enemy. Not only that, he told the secrets of Lanka. From the moment Hanumanji landed in Lanka, he told him where Sitaji was. He told him how to get to her. He told him what to look out for and what to be aware of and where things are. He told him everything. Then he told Bhagavan Sri Rama how to defeat Ravana, where their treasury is, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. Is that not being a drohi to your country? So here's where the catch comes. Bhagavan accepted him, which means he was not doing something wrong, because Bhagavan will not accept someone who's doing adharma like that, right? Loyalty comes with a clause. And what is that clause? We are supposed to be loyal until there is dharma. When in the environment people become adharmic, there is permission for the loyalty to cease. Because greater than anything is our loyalty to dharma. Our loyalty to dharma trumps every other loyalty. So Bhagavan sees loyalty to dharma. The classic example given is in Ramayana, Bhagavan Sri Rama helps Sugriva and kills Bali. Sugriva is Surya Amsha and Bali is Indra Amsha. In Mahabharata, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, who's the same being, he now sides with Arjuna and helps Arjuna to remove Karna. Arjuna is Indra Amsha and Karna is Surya Amsha. So in one avatar, he sides with Surya Amsha, and in one avatar, he sides with Indra Amsha. Not because he can't make up his mind, but because Bhagavan is always on the side of Dharma. His loyalty is consistently, you're on the side of Dharma, you're on my side. Or I'm on your side if you're on the side of Dharma. So, in this topic of loyalty, we're never supposed to betray dharma. If we stay on the side of those who are hanging out with adharma, we will feel the brunt of not following dharma. And the example here is Bhishma, Pitama, and Dronacharya. They stayed on the side of adharma and they felt the brunt of it, right? There's no, oh, these are my people, I'm going to stick with them thick or thin. You stick with them thick or thin if they're on the side of Dharma, not if they're not on the side of Dharma. This is the principle. Okay. Now the last one. Na atimanita. Na atimanita is no overestimation of oneself or not having excessive pride. Someone who has atimanita thinks that the whole world revolves around him. He thinks without him, the world won't move, things won't run. And it comes out in the way we walk, in the way we talk, in the way we expect people to treat us. People who have it, they think they're special and they demand it from others. They feel like I should be treated like a VVIP no matter what I do and no matter where I go. We had gone to a few years ago in Toronto, the what is it? The that conference of world religions. I can't remember the technical term, the proper name. I think that's what it's called. It was in Toronto some years ago. And we had gone there for some panel discussion thing, some small little thing, right? But when we were in the building and we were walking around, it was really interesting to see that you had great leaders from all different traditions over there, with a few people that are their chelas and their disciples and from their organization. And in their organization, they're considered great people, and everybody is waiting to meet with them. But here you go in a building full of people who are considered great in their tradition, in their religion, in their church, in their mandir and all of that, and nobody knows them over here. They're literally like a nobody that you walk past. When they were all there, you don't know who's who. So they have people have this feeling like, I ought to be served, I ought to be taken care of, I ought to be given respect. But really, in the grand scheme of things, they're nobody. They're really a nobody. But they have a feeling that I'm a somebody. And you see this, I mean, we just saw it some few weeks ago. We were standing in line to get food at some event, and there was a group of pundits there who, from their action, it felt like, why are we standing in line? We should be made to sit, we should be served. They didn't say anything, but in their attitude and the way they were talking to each other, that clear sentiment was coming out, you know? I I think I'm worshipable, I think I'm honorable, I think I should be respected. And we have it inside, and then we start to demand it from other people. Right? Now, the danger is our motive shifts from duty, because in doing our duty, we're supposed to receive absolutely no recognition. So once you start looking for recognition, you have shifted from doing your duty. Right? Now you have to test how much of this you have, because everyone has it to some degree. One is, do you like to listen to praise of yourself? It Everybody likes to listen to praise, right? But some people overlike it. They go and they're always digging for compliments, Oh, what did you think of what I said over there? How did I sound? Hey, and yeah, when I said this thing, did you think that was not? You're prompting people and trying to dig so that they say good things, nice things about you. But it is never okay to seek praise, because duty is supposed to be unthanked and uncomplimented and done to perfection, irrespective, for you to get the great goal of purity of mind when you do your duty. Now, if you're doing your duty and you're seeking praise, you're depriving yourself of the opportunity to get the purity of mind for which you were doing the duty in the first place. What a sad, sad, sad thing. The positive word for this emotion, or for this quality, is humility. Right? And Gurudev says a very interesting thing, that the ironic thing is, if you think you have it, you've lost it. If you think you have humility, you've lost humility. And it is such an important quality for spiritual seekers, because knowledge flows down. If our mind is not humble, we will never be able to hold the knowledge that is coming. So now some tips. One is, well, start to reflect on your contribution versus others' contribution to things in your life, right? The other thing is, we should let the joy of doing something great, or doing a good job, or doing our duty to perfection be a secret between us and Bhagavan. Secret between me and Bhagavan. No one needs to know. And the other thing is, when somebody praises you, you should have that monkey emoji ready. You know, the monkey ear that has his hands on his ears? That emoji on your phone should just be ready. In your mind, that emoji should come on. I don't want to hear this. I will lose the benefit of it if I hear it like that. That sentiment should be there in the heart. Okay, these are the Devi Sampat, the divine wealth. Some people are born with it, but most of us have to develop. Or we may be born with a limited amount, or some of them, but we have to develop them in this lifetime. And the beauty with these is, if you just pick one or two and sincerely try to develop them, because they're all intimately tied together, if you practice one, the rest will come. It's like pulling like a frayed shoelace. You know, when the shoelace has gone all over the place, and you're trying to put it. It doesn't. I mean, to put it into the shoe, you need to put it all together. But really, if you pull one of those strings, that whole shoelace will come. So you pick one or two values and you sincerely practice them, and slowly the rest will also start to manifest. So this is 26 Devi Sampat, qualities that are considered divine wealth. And he takes 3 verses to tell this. Oh, one more thing. You know the thing with practicing values? Well, I was talking about this the other night also. If someone is honest 90% of the time, will you call them an honest person? 90%. You know, or if you take it in terms of days. So I'm awake for calculation's sake, let's say I'm awake for 20 hours in the day. Okay, just for argument's sake. For 18 of those hours, I'm honest. But for 2 of those hours, I'm dishonest. Will I be considered an honest person? Even if I'm honest for 19 hours and 59 minutes, and I'm dishonest for 1 minute, I will not be considered honest. Because the thing with values is to have the value, to say you have the value, you have to practice it 100%. It is not like, okay, I got a B in honesty. There's no B. There's only 100% or fail. That is the level of expectation that is there to say I have this value. So we convince ourselves that being good most of the time is good enough. But if somebody is good most of the time, you will not call that person good. They have to be good all of the time. We want other people to have it 100%. Let's say they have that value. We have to demand that same thing of ourselves. Now, see, if you're not following a value at a certain moment, for example, akrodha is one of the values, right? Not having anger. If you're not angry, if you don't have akrodha, then what do you have? Shunya? Nothing? Well, things in this world exist in pairs, no? So if you don't have akrodha, then what are you practicing? Krodha. So to the degree that we don't practice the value, actually we are automatically practicing that vice. It's a very interesting thing. We don't focus on it like that. But if I'm not practicing the value, the reality is I'm practicing the vice. If I am not practicing shaucham, cleanliness, then what am I practicing? Hello, the lack of cleanliness. There's nothing, So this we have to keep in mind because we tell ourselves stories like, it's okay, you're doing your best, but what do you want? And what is the reason for which you're trying to develop all of these things? Anyways, Bhagavan will speak about the benefit of practicing these values. But first, he said, no, no, it's coming. Devi Sampat Vimokshaya. I'll leave it. Now he talks about Asuri Sampat. And the interesting thing is he just tells one verse. So let us chant it and then we will see. Sharanya, will you repeat after me?
Yes.
Dambho darpo bhimanascha
दम्भो दर्पोऽभिमानश्च
क्रोधः पारुष्यमेव च
क्रोधस्पारुष्यमेव च
अज्ञानं चाभिजातस्य
अज्ञानं चाभिजातस्य
पार्थः सम्पदमासुरीम्.
पार्थः सम्पदमासुरीम्.
O Partha, O Arjuna, great son of Pritha, son of a wonderful woman called Pritha. Means you're born of great nobility. just saying, Partha asurim sampadam abhijatasya. These are the vices of a person with asuri disposition. Or sampadam. This is the wealth of a person with asuri disposition. Okay? Now, who exactly is an asura? I thought to tell, but I said, you know what? Let us wait, see what the qualities are. Then you yourself will know who is an asura. Because an asura is not somebody in this chapter who has a big mustache and an evil ha 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 laugh. And an asura has a completely different portrayal in this chapter. I don't want to tell you the simple word for what asura means. Let us see the qualities. Then we'll talk about it, Number one, darpa. No, number one is dambha. Dambha. Dambha is translation of these words is really hard, but one of the ways you can translate dambha is hypocrisy. Hypocrisy means to show yourself as someone who is different than you really are. You know? So you pretend you wake up early, but you really don't. So you'll take your phone, like you woke up by chance at 4 a.m. and because you needed water or you needed to go to the washroom or something, and you'll take your phone and you'll send messages and reply to everything as if you were awake. And then you go back to sleep and you wake up at 9 or 10 or whatever. And that person responds being like, "Wow, you were awake at 4?" And you're like, "Yeah, yeah, hello." You woke up for 2 minutes. Pretending to be someone that you're not. Or people who pretend to be friends with somebody. In Ghana, I don't know what it's called in other places, but in Ghana, it's called snake under grass. Means they pretend to be someone with you, but really they're talking bad about you behind your back. That is hypocrisy, dambha. The other thing is pomp and showing off. About like people who feel like they're good, they carry a flag of righteousness. Do you know how good I am? Come, come. Let me tell you all the good things I have done. Like that. And the other thing is there's no in material dhamma, which is the other one, there's no sensitivity about how much other people have. So they show off their money. Like you go into a building, you go into a restaurant and you're they're talking to you about making a deposit for some event that you're going to have. And you're like, "Oh yeah, this is nothing. I can give this. I mean, this is my pocket money for today." And meanwhile, that is like that person's full income for the month. So the way you talk and the showing off that happens as a result of you interacting with people, that dambha is a quality of an asura. The other thing Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya says is it is religious ostentation. A big word. One of the things that it means is you have the outer garb of a religious person, sorry, not spiritual, a religious person, but you're totally shallow inside. Means you go and you do the rituals and you do the havan and you put a japa mala and you put chandan. You may put a big chandan also, you put a big tilak, whatever. Like you have all the signs of a religious person. I go to mandir every single day and whatever. And all of that makes absolutely no difference to this person's personality. They're still the same miserable, despicable, rude, mean, corrupt, inconsiderate person. Religious ostentation. So what did all of that do? Absolutely nothing. You know, Ravana was the most religious person of his time. So having external religious expression really is no measure of internal change. Religious ostentation. You show off that you're religious, but you're actually still as terrible inside. No change happened. Damba. How to develop Damba? We've been talking how to develop, right? How to develop Damba? Well, you be fake. That is one. You continue thinking that you're so good, right? Don't practice what you preach, means don't let your values convert into virtues in your life, and do nothing. By putting in absolutely no effort, it will guaranteed get developed. How to develop Dhamma? Just continue doing what you're doing without putting any effort whatsoever. So sad, isn't it? To develop values, you have to put in so much effort. But to develop vices, you have to do nothing. Anyways, Darpa. Darpa is the next one. Darpa is a kind of pride or arrogance. The other word for this is Garvam. In Bhaja Govindam, Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya writes, Ma Kuru Dhanajana Yovana Garvam. Don't have pride in your money, in your people, in your youth, because in an instant, time can take all of it away. And Dave was sharing a few days ago. If really that youth was yours, could you have could it have been taken away from you? You could have kept it. But it is not yours. It is given to you and then it is taken away from you. So don't have pride. People who have darpa or this kind of arrogance, it comes out, they disrespect people, including elderly people, right? And if you want to see what darpa looks like in its glory, you think of Duryodhana. So much pride and so much arrogance, you know? And then the interesting thing is, people feel pride based on people that they know. I know the president, you know? Hold on. I know Swamiji, you know? I know Guruji. People have pride in who they know. Then you go and ask Guruji if he knows this person, and he's like, "No, I don't remember." Guruji remembers everybody. That is a bad example. But the point is, people are like, "Oh, do you know who I am? I'm a person who knows this person." They get their pride from knowing somebody. One one policeman stopped some person on the road, and they said license and registration, and they took their license and they saw this person is supposed to be wearing glasses. They're wearing glasses and they're not wearing glasses now. So the police officer said, "Where are your glasses? You're supposed to be wearing glasses." That person said, "Officer, I have contacts." That could mean two things. Your contacts won't work over here, okay? Anyways, people find pride in the number of influencers that they have, or the number of video hits that their videos got, or so many different things, you know? Anyways, that is darpa. Now, the other one is abhiman, the next one. Abhiman, atiman, and abhiman. There you'll see both versions in different recensions. We've seen that already when we were saying na atimana. This is the exact opposite. We've seen this. And krodha. Krodha also we've seen, right? Not having anger. Because to see what is, I mean, having anger, to see what is not anger, we had to see what is anger. So this also we've seen. Now, parushya. Parushya is speaking harsh words that hurt, rude, inconsiderate words. When we were growing up, you know, there's a phase in your life where most people get bullied when they're kids. So, to help answer to the bullies, the teachers taught us a slogan: "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but calling me names won't hurt me." And they made us chant this like mantra. You know, now it sounds nice. Okay, you can't hurt me if you say mean things to me and all. But the reality of the situation is that words hurt. Because the emotion of pain is not just a physical thing. It's a emotion. It's an inside thing. So pain is caused by words. And a person who causes pain by words has parushya. And someone who has the capacity or inclination to cause pain by words is an asura. And the examples that Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya gives are basically, it boils down to, he includes sarcasm. Like he says, someone who is blind, you say, "Oh, lotus eyed person," you're mocking them. Or someone who is not learned, not educated, you call them professor. That is a mean thing, you know? There's rudeness and coarseness and abrasiveness in the language that causes pain. It's not a good quality. The last quality Bhagavan highlights here is ajnana. See, we're on the topic of values. So then this ajnana will also be from the point of view of dharma and adharma, not from the point of view of ignorance of myself. So ignorance of what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad. You know, some people don't even know what is the right thing or the wrong thing. But the see this. Now you might not like to hear this, but the level of expectation that Shastra has in us is that there is no such thing as a mistake in human existence. The right word would be neglect, negligence. You neglected knowing has a connotation that you ought to have known. That is why, even when we make a mistake, we have to pay for it in the law of karma. The law of karma doesn't say, oh, it was a mistake. Okay, okay, no problem. I should have known. In ordinary jurisprudence, also, like if they put up a new stop sign and the police want to make some money, well, they just have to stand there and wait for you to blow through it because they know you don't know it's there. It just came there yesterday. They'll stop you and they'll charge you. And you'll say, no, 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 but I didn't know. It doesn't matter that you didn't know. You ought to have known. That is the principle or not. You ought to have known. I didn't know that I'm not allowed to make a right on a red. I'm not allowed to make a right on a red. In Ontario, I'm allowed to make a right on a red. I didn't know it's not allowed. It doesn't matter if you didn't know. So the level of vigilance or alertness that is required of us is I have a duty to be informed. Even though ignorance feels stronger than knowledge, and even though we're born with it, right? An asura is somebody who doesn't do anything to remove it, and what he does perpetuates it further. Now, please, I'm saying he, but he means he and she, right? An asura is not only a boy or a man, an asura is a he or she. Now, the way to deal with this ajnana is to become knowledgeable about all the aspects of life that pertain to us. Like now that I live in Guyana, I don't need to know about snow and I don't need to know how to shovel or how to walk on snow so I don't fall or how to deal with ice and none of that. But I need to know basic things around here, like how to drive with potholes, how to drive with animals sharing the road, how to drive in a road that would be a one-way in Canada, but it's a two-way over here, right? You have to know these things when you live here. So means we have to, whatever we're engaged in our life, we have to put a concerted effort to get knowledge about those things. And one of the things that we're engaged in is dharma and adharma. So it is a requirement of us to learn about what is dharmic and what is adharmic. And the thing about dharma and adharma is that the only pramana is our shastra. Shastra is the praman, is the authoritative source of knowledge for dharma and adharma. People might say, oh, no, no, the world will tell you what is right and wrong, or your instincts will tell you what is right and wrong. All of that is fine. But the final arbiter is Shastra. Shastra is like, for example, um, this is the topic of Praman. I'm just going to take 2 minutes and tell, right? When you see some food and you say it looks tasty, or you say it smells delicious, can your nose confirm that that thing is actually tasty? Can your eyes confirm that that thing is actually tasty? The only, I mean, they can say what they want. Your eyes can say it's tasty, your nose can say it's tasty, but the final arbiter is the tongue. The tongue is the only one, actually, that has jurisdiction to say whether that food is tasty or not. Everyone else is just making supposition. That is why when you go to a buffet and you take food in your plate, thinking it is tasty, you regret after. This thing doesn't taste good. That mistake wouldn't happen if the eyes and the nose were arbiters of taste. The tongue is the only one who can really tell you if something is tasty or not. The tongue is the only one that is the authoritative source of knowledge for taste. So the pramana for taste is the tongue. That is the way you say it, right? The pramana for taste is the tongue. The pramana for dharma is Shastra. The pramana for two things, for dharma and Brahman. The pramana for that is Shastra. The topic of pramana is fascinating, but if I start, then the whole next class will go into that. So I'm going to stop right here. This is just something to think about. Really speaking, we're supposed to learn about Dharma from our Shastra. Okay. Now, see, Bhagavan gave 26 values in Devi Sampat. And you count the Asuri Sampat that we saw. Dambaha, Darpaha, Abhimanaha, Krodha, Parushyam, Ajnana. Six! 6 divided by 26. Usually, which one is more? Positive or negative? 100 Kauravas, 5 Pandavas, 11 Akshauhinis, 7 Akshauhinis. Usually, negative far outweighs the positive. So, Bhagavan, what happened here? Something went wrong? Bhagavan has just gotten started on the Asuri Sampat. This 99% of the remaining chapter is on Asuri Sampat. So you have to brace yourself for the qualities that are going to be described. Because I'll tell you, if you think hearing these qualities, you know, I don't seem so bad. I don't seem to have these qualities so bad. Well, wait. When Bhagavan gets to description, he's going to paint a picture of what life as an asura looks like. Then we will talk after that. Then we will talk after that, right? But this is just something for you all to think about. So I'll pause here. I wanted to get through a few more verses, but I think we should pause and move into discussion. These values and vices are done. Now the presentation of this chapter shifts. What Bhagavan is going to tell next is what following their Devi Sampat, what it gives, and following Asari Sampat, what it gives. Then he goes on to tell how what that Asari Sampat actually looks like in our daily life, right? And just so you all are not shocked when you get to it, it is quite descriptive of a lot of people's lives, right? It is quite descriptive of a lot of people's lives. Okay. You want me to tell you the English translation for Asura, or we should wait? Let's wait. Let's let Bhagavan tell a little bit more, and then we'll see. Okay, now for discussion. What discussion should we do? Um, Actually, you know what? Let me address questions because we end up never having time for questions. I know Dhirain had a question. Dhirain, please don't ask hard questions. Um, you can start and then we'll see what time is left. Go ahead.
Um, yeah, so, well, I have many questions, but I'll start with from this top. So you spoke about not getting hurt and how we often get hurt because of expectations.
Right.
Uh, so that makes a lot of sense. But then instead of the whole explanation that you gave, so don't we just drop any expectation that we have of anybody? And if you do that, then you'll never get hurt.
That is true, and that is the ideal solution, but dropping expectations is extremely difficult, right? If you have the capacity to drop expectations, then awesome, right? But if you think from the point of view of a parent who has raised a child and given their whole life to that child, and they see themselves in that child and all of that, and then that child turns around and says something hurtful or does something hurtful, that thing, it's not easy to drop expectations. It is the ideal thing. What you're saying is correct. But I had shared all those other things because it is not easy to drop expectations so right away. Right? That is the ideal you're working towards, but in the interim, you try to use other techniques.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the second was um, like, basically you said, I think the Sanskrit word was dhanam, but basically in the pursuit of doing what you're meant to do or what you feel like you're meant to do, can't you be a little bit ignorant as well and just For example, maybe somebody thinks they're meant to be like an athlete, but they're not meant to be that athlete, and then they continue to pursue it. They're just being ignorant, and they're doing it with excitement and encouragement, all the good stuff, but that's not what you're meant to do, so you're just being silly, pretty much.
No, so I mean, we're entitled to do everything that we want to do. I mean, the fact that we have freedom shows that we can choose and make mistakes and all of that. But we're talking about then you have to be ready to face the consequences of acting out of ignorance and not knowing you are not supposed to be an athlete. For example, one of the consequences is you won't go far in that field, right? So then you have to face the consequence of going down this path and getting a roadblock or whatever. Be ready to face the negative consequences of not knowing. That is all. See, whatever you say we should have more knowledge and we should remove our ignorance. We're going to be ignorant about countless things, right? But from the point of view of our mind should just be ready to say, okay, I acknowledge that I didn't know XYZ, and therefore some result is going to come. Or this result is becoming because I wasn't aware of ABC. Then, when that result comes, it shouldn't make you so despondent that you're not able to continue anything in life. It shouldn't pull you down, or it shouldn't disturb your mind such that you're not able to continue in your spiritual pursuit or your duties or whatever. So, ignorance will be there, but we should have the acceptance that I should be ready to face the consequences of not knowing.
That's hypocritical because in the beginning you said that there's like life is gonna be tough, there's gonna be failure. There's a 99% chance you'll fail. And so you keep failing, and then but you tell yourself, oh no, this is my path, this is my path. Like that doesn't make sense.
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, so then you keep trying. The see, they're in the other side of it is if you were most people are in the wrong profession. Let us acknowledge that most people are in the wrong profession, okay? Now, if you are in the wrong profession, but you are approaching it with the right attitude, then you will get the benefit of approaching it with the right attitude. So if being in that wrong profession, but you keep having dhriti and you keep holding on to, okay, an obstacle has come, I'm going to fight it. An obstacle has come, I'm going to fight it. Will there not be growth? You may not reach the goal of being a great athlete, but you will get tremendous purity of mind and you will get tremendous inner growth and you will develop tremendous values. That itself is a benefit. So, benefit will be there when you're following values, but the material goal that you were pursuing may not come. You see?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, let me take Sharnya and Vidya's questions and then I'll come back to you if you have more. Yes, Sharnya.
So my question is the last thing you mentioned was how Shastra is the only pramana for dharma. The question is how do we use Shastra as pramana? Because the Shastras, as I see it, at least right now, it seem to be at a high level, like breaks it down into like the highest truth. And distilling it into my level of thinking right now seems to be open to interpretation and just clouded by how I think. So, how to use Shastra as Praman?
When we study Shastra, I mean, in Vedanta, we usually study Vedanta Shastra, right? But there's also Dharma Shastra, Shastras that are specifically meant to teach us how to live. So in Dharma Shastra, you will study like the four phases of life, right? Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa. And one of the things we're supposed to do is try to live according to that. Then you will also study, so that is Varnashrama Dharma, right? Then there will be the Dharma of your Varna, meaning whether you're cut out to be a creator, thinker, whether you're cut out to be an administrator, whether you're cut out to be a resource generator, or if you're cut out to be a doer. I mean, I'm using English words to keep it simple, but basically, you find yourself with the integrity to choose the thing that is meant for you. And like that. So now you're in Grihastha. You learn, okay, what is Grihastha meant for? And at the end of Grihastha, which it's supposed to end, what am I supposed to have developed by then? Like that, right? So Dharma Shastra teaches you the principles that should be followed in each phase of life. It teaches you the principles that should be followed in following your career. It teaches you those.
It teaches you those.
Something happened. It teaches you those things, and then with those things, you guide your life, right? But our tradition is there. The Swamijis and all the gurus in our life are there to help us to think through what is our dharma and what is not our dharma. Then karma yoga. It is our duty. It is our dharma to act without expectation. So my effort will be to try to live up to that or try to get to that stage like that. Right? Not whether I should listen. Now, okay, my kids don't want me to make pink idlis anymore. Okay? They just like got fed up of the different colors and now they want me to make plain idlis. So, is it my dharma to listen to them? Okay? Is it your dharma is to raise good kids? So the choice of whether to make pink idlis that have beetroot powder in is left to you. Now, if you can deliver the same result to them in a different way, you find that. But your goal is not they should like me. Your goal is they should be good children. So then that is your measure in your decisions. Like that. So you have a guideline that helps you to check your decisions. X plus 5 is equal to 10. What is X? So that X, you have what is dharma, and you keep putting X next to it and see if the equation matches. I don't know. That's just something to think about. If you like this topic, Guruji has a beautiful series of talks called Dharma Shastra. It is on YouTube. If you don't want to follow, like listen, the same thing is there in a book, right? Dharma Shastra in the bookstore. I think all the bookstores have it now. And the other thing is the Ramayana. When you study Ramayana, it is a demonstration of what it looks like to live a life of dharma. And through studying Ramayana, we learn that following dharma is not easy. But in the Ramayana, every single dharma is portrayed. Dharma of a wife, dharma of a child, dharma of a husband, dharma of a king, dharma of a father. All the dharmas are of a brother, of a friend. Everything comes out in Ramayana. So Ramayana is, oh my God, such a beautiful text for that. Okay, let me take Vidyartha's question. It is 8:44. Let me see how quickly I can answer that, and then we'll do closing prayer. Go ahead.
Hari Om, everyone. Thank you very much. Just very quickly, so I've been listening, on this question of values and in the context of the Gita, because I understand that dharma, duty, and of course the Gita is in the context in which Arjuna does not want to fight his relatives who are adharmic. And but there's sometimes I'm getting the vibe that from all these values of peace and not fighting, that are we really, I mean, if we're living in a real life situation, which I live, in which we have to hold those with power accountable for how they treat those who have no power and privilege, or who I'm trying to understand whether the values we have, because we hear some people is that you should be passive and not do anything. And that's why, so I'm just trying to find, oh, non-violence. Oh, you should allow the people to beat you, allow your leaders to beat you up.
Okay.
Allow the leaders to beat up the women, allow the men to beat up the women, and these things. So I'm just
Okay.
trying to understand. Yeah.
I'm going to pause you right there.
Sure,
That is
sure.
absolutely not what the values are supposed to communicate. Absolutely not what the values are supposed to communicate. One of the values that was listed was ahimsa, right? Ahimsa does not mean nonviolence in a literal physical sense. Ahimsa means the intention to cause pain or hurt deliberately should not be there. Otherwise, a surgeon will be considered to be causing a himsa, but he's not causing himsa. So Arjuna going to fight with the Kauravas is not considered himsa because his intention is to release the society from pain. So It is not, if someone is being harassed or being ill-treated, it is dharma to do what is required to protect that person, even if it means picking up arms, like Arjuna had to. But he was in the role where he had the authority to use bow and arrow, So following values is not a life of, okay, I accept everyone and let them do what their terrible things are. No, no, no. It is, it is supposed to give us the energy and inspiration to stand up and fight for dharma. Like, that is one of the results of following values, right? Fighting for dharma is one of the things that we're supposed to do in our values. So, no, there's no space for passive, let people walk over me. Those words should not give that connotation. We have to be ready to. It takes tremendous strength to stand up for what is right, and tremendous strength. Dhriti. I am going to hold on to goodness, and I'm going to hold on to dharma, no matter how hard it is. One of the hardest things is facing people who are difficult, but I stand up to them. Right? So there's no room for passiveness.
And I think I guess the lesson too is that we're not motivated through anger or hatred. That
Yes,
even as we're dealing with those, we are one with them. That we're holy. Even as I say here, you're doing nonsense, but I am one with you. Yeah, we're one, we're all one, but I'm not doing this through anger or hatred. My intention is to stop you from causing harm, not to destroy you. Is that correct?
correct,
Something?
correct.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
intention is to stop you from causing harm.
Cause
Correct.
harm, not to
Now,
destroy you.
yeah,
Yeah,
now
not to
see,
destroy you.
exactly. No,
Yeah.
and it's to protect people that you're hurting. You see, there's two sides of it. The other thing is, if someone doesn't see oneness and they see division, then they cannot go on saying, well, we're one, so whatever you do, it's okay. I accept you the way I accept me. That is also not okay. The whole discussion of treating someone, forgiving someone in your mind the way you would forgive yourself is, I want my mind to be peaceful so that it is available to do what is required. Right? If you get angry, you're acting out of anger. That anger is triggered by a desire. That desire is usually selfish. But you're supposed to remove selfishness from the equation. If selfishness is not there, then you're going to act selflessly. Then if you have to show anger, there's absolutely nothing wrong in that. It takes great bravery and strength and courage and inspiration to stand up for Dharma. There's no passive space over here. Right? So, yeah, please keep that in mind, everybody. If the connotation that you got was you have to become more like, what is the word? Komal and accepting, and you have to be ready to fight the world. The whole thrust of the Bhagavad Gita is Arjuna, stop wanting to give up everything and go become a sadhu and stand up and face your duty, because that is your way of practicing all of these values. Okay? All right, it's 8:50. Let me do closing prayer.
Time,
And
time.
if any other questions, I will stay back to answer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Shri Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Oh, let me quickly tell two announcements. One is daylight savings is going to finish in like 2 weeks. I think next Saturday we still have class at 7:30 in Guyana, but from the following Saturday it will shift to 6:30. Because this class started as a Toronto class, we're following the Toronto time, but actually it's crazy to shift back and forth. Um, so we'll move to 6:30 in Guyana, and it will stay 6:30 in Toronto. Okay, and wherever you are, please make the accurate conversion. The time is going to follow 6:30 p.m. 6:30 a.m. EST. Right, so 6:30 will become AST also in Guyana, and you can calculate for yourself. The other announcement is in next